Hi guys, today I'll be teaching you how to make leader stats and using the DataStoreService to save the leader stats. Alright, let's get going. So to get started, we'll need to create a script within the server script service, or I'll create a script. You can name the script whatever you want. I'll just keep it as script, okay? First off, we need the players, so you can do a local variable called players and get the service players. And then we need the DataStoreService, so I create another local variable called DataStore and then get the service of DataStoreService, yeah. And then we need to create a DataStore itself, so we use that. Create a local variable called DataStore and use the DataStoreService to get DataStore. And use a name, I'll just call this Leaderstats as I find it fitting for Leaderstats. Okay, you can change this to whatever you want, but if you have previously saved data, if you change this, the data will be gone or saved under this name, so it has to be the same. If you change, you can always just change it back and you have your old data back. Okay, so now we want to use the player added to connect that into a function, so when a player joins we get the player, so put through the player here. And then we want to create the Leaderstats folder, so create a local variable called Leaderstats and then use instance.new, which will create us a folder, and we want to parent that folder to the player. And then name the Leaderstats to the folder to Leaderstats, as it has to be named Leaderstats for its work, as you would expect. And then we create the first stats, which will be rebirth, so instance.new, which we create an int value and parent this to the Leaderstats. Then we want to name the rebirth to, of course, rebirth. And then we can give it a default starting value. I'll just use 0. You can change this to whatever you feel like, and that will be the amount that the player starts with. Now we create another stat called coins. So we do the exact same here and create in value, and we'll parent that to the leader stats, and then we'll give it a name. So coins.name equal to coins. And then we can do the default value again here. You can change this to whatever, like the last one. And once this is done, we'll start writing some DataStoreService. So once the script have created all the leader stats, we can then get the saved data. So we do a local success data and make this into a pcall function, so protected call, and then this will return data store get async, and then as the key we'll use the player's user ID. There we go. And then we do if success, and then we'll check if data does not equal, if data equals to nil, sorry, then we should return n, because that means it's the player's first time joining the game, and of course he doesn't have any data saved. And then I'll be saving the data in a table because there's multiple variables up here, or stats, so it's easier just to throw them in a table, and then yeah, we can loop through it, which we'll do later on. Now we'll just loop through it and apply the saved data to the leader stats. So we do that by using a for loop, so for IV in pairs. I'll use the data itself, so it's going to loop through the data. And then we want to go into the leader stats and index this by I, which will equal the name of the stat. And then set the dot value to read, which will be the value you saved. Okay. And here we can check else warn. If the data did not load correctly, we'll just say data did not load, so we know. And then you can warn out the error as well, which will just be data. And here we'll be scripting the saving of the player data. So we'll get the players.player removing, which is an event that will fire each time a player leaves the game. And we connect this through to the function and carry through the player which leaves the game. And then we want to create a local variable called data, which will be an empty table. And then to get the current data of the player, we will be looping through the leader stats folder of that player to get the value and name of each stat. So we use the for IV in loop here in pairs, and we want to go to the player and the leader stats folder, and we want to get the children, so get children. And I want to use the data and set the index of the value in the table to be the stat.name or v.name, and then the value of that should be v.value. So it can be used up here to apply the data, yeah? Once this is done, we'll go ahead and write another local success, an error, which is a pcall function, which will return the data store. And we're going to set async to, we're going to use the player.user ID again, and then the value, which is the data table. And then down here we can do if success, then print data saved. There we go. Let's give it a go. But first, before you test it, if you have not already, you need to go to game settings. So file, game settings, security, and enable studio access to the API services. So you click that on and hit save. There you go. And then if you hit play, as you can see, currently I have 1 rebirth and 12 coins. And then we can go to this test tab up here and hit this. So we switch to the server, then we can modify the player stats of the player. Let's change this to 100 maybe, and then just change this to 5. Then we can go back to test and hit this. So we go to the client again. As you can see, I now have 5 rebirth and 100 coins. If we then stop the game and play the game again, we should have saved these stats. As you can see, it works very nicely. I hope you enjoyed the video and will consider leaving a like or subscription. You can comment any other wishes on tutorials that I should try and do. So thank you for watching.